Hey, welcome back everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This is Dan Strong with Excel VBA is Fun. Today I'm going to show you a quick trick, some basic tips about when you're making, let's say you're making a report and it generates, and sometimes it generates, this many, sometimes it's this long, sometimes maybe it's just a tiny report, but we're talking about a changing number of records, and you want a chart to dynamically attach onto that, maybe at the bottom of the sheet, maybe on the side, or wherever you want it to, and however big you want it. And all these different attributes can be changed using Visual Basic, so you can have it dynamically appear each and every time the way you want it to. So, without further ado, I'll just make one more record here from the East region. We'll have Jeb, and he made a whopping $5,000 in sales. I'm going to highlight column C, Control Shift 4. That makes it all a dollar sign, makes it nice and pretty. What we're going to do, first of all, I always recommend and advocate going to the developer ribbon and recording a macro. In this case, I'll just, I'm not going to use relative references. I think I was doing that for something else earlier. Go ahead and record a macro, and what we're going to do, we'll call this sample chart. Alright, and now we're going to go to data ribbon. Insert. We'll just insert a regular, typical clustered column chart. And there we have it. It's we'll change a few features here. Let's go ahead and plop in a special thing here, and we'll click on the legend, and we'll hit the delete button. Let's just kind of review what all happened just now. We clicked on the region basically that we wanted. Then we inserted a clustered chart, and we took away the title there, the legend. And we still have it activated. If we click away, it would become inactive. We could even relocate it and even resize it like so. Let's read up on what we just did. So go to the developer tab, click stop recording, and we'll hit Alt F11 and see what just happened. So we have, let's see here. Let's look for that most recent module. It would probably be, we'll have to do some looking. Sample chart. Okay, if we found it, it was hiding in module 12 for whatever reason. Sample chart, sample chart. Here we go. Here's what happened first. On the active sheet, we generated a new chart and selected it from the shapes object here. Then the same thing, the active chart. You notice most of these start with active chart, so they're just taking on whatever chart you got selected at the current time. So the chart type it was XL column clustered. So there must be a list of different types of charts that you can have and make that change to. Active chart dot set source data equals, and so the source is anything beyond this with a colon and equals. So we had the range. Ignore this part here. Chart 1 is actually the name that I gave this sheet. It's kind of misleading. That's nothing to do with a specific chart. So the range was this worksheet and A1 through C5, and you can see that that is actually our data range here. So that's good. Then the chart style became 44. By default, I believe it was 2. 2 is just the kind of ugly one, and 44 is this nice, pretty black one with the red columns. Then we selected the legend and we deleted it. So selection.delete. I imagine we could also do just .legend.delete if we wanted to skip that extra line. Then ActiveSheet.chart object this is chart 4. That was the name of this chart. .activate. So that must have been we clicked somewhere on here. We activated it, and we can see the name is actually chart 4, so we're on the right path. Then we actually moved it. We incremented to the left negative 57.75, and we incremented the top was negative 130. So that means we pushed it upward instead of taking it downwards. It's kind of like an offset. Then we clicked on it again. That's this activate here. Then the scale width. We actually messed with the width and the height. So that's pretty interesting. Alright, so a few things right off the bat we want to do with this is we want to be able to dynamically make this chart show up or fit into a certain range. I think that's important to do, especially if you have the last cell is on row 5, the last row is on row 5, but maybe tomorrow it's row 10 or whatever when you generate this report. So it's important to say that you want the chart to start maybe a couple cells down and then be like this big. So you could actually set the range from here to here. In fact, let's mess around with that a little bit. We want it to fit within that. So there's a way to do that. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and delete this chart. And we'll go ahead and start from scratch using kind of what we recorded. So we will go with, we're not going to use active sheet because we want to be able to, well, you can generate this using other, while on another sheet or when this is invisible. But activating it, I think you do have to open this sheet even if it's for a split second. So I'm going to hit F8. F8 ActiveSheet.Shapes.AddChart.Select. So that adds a chart and selects it. You can't probably see that. I'll scooch it up here a little bit. So there's our default chart. It hasn't got any data in it. The chart type is now going to be column clustered, and that is the default anyways. The source data. Now this could be dynamic. Here's how. Let's go ahead and get our last row. If you've been watching my videos, you know that you can get the last row very simply. You just memorize this dynamic bit of code here. So we're going to get the last row. It is going to be, alright, I'm not even going to declare the worksheet. We're just going to go for it. ActiveSheet.Cells rows.count, comma 1 dot end, oops, XL up dot row. So that's going to be our last row, and we're going to actually have this source range be dynamic. So let's say CHT range, chart range equals cells, and we'll take LR, or excuse me, let's use the range object here. The range of A, it's always going to be A1 through C, and we'll join that with whatever row it is, which is LR. So there is your chart range. Range A1 through C, and let's see what LR is. We know that it's 5, but let's look. Okay, yes, it is 5. So A1 through C, 5, is now going to be set to chart range, CHT range. So now we could change this and make it dynamic by saying CHT RNG. The source is always going to be this dynamic thing we just declared. But we just accidentally made another one. Okay, that's fine. Column cluster, the source is going to be with that dynamic range. We need to set an object. I'm sorry, set chart range. Okay, sometimes they're weird about objects and everything. So let's do this again. I'm going to delete this, and let's go back to our Visual Basic Editor. Okay, here we go, F8, F8. Okay, so we've made a new chart. The chart type is a cluster. Now it's going to be this object called chart range. And sure enough, it took on that data. So I'm going to go ahead and manually scooch it up here. Let's say that we wanted to use the last row plus 2 or 3, plus 3, okay? So it'll be on row 8. That's going to be our starting row for, we'll call it chart area is going to be equal to, okay, chart area is going to be equal to the range of, how about A, and what's the row that we want to use is LR plus 3, and we'll join that with through C, and we're going to join that with, how big do we want the chart to be? Maybe A8 through C, or how about A8 through D13? So 8 plus 5. Oh, pardon my math here. I'm having a brain flop here. So we're going to have to make this D and LR plus, let's just make it 9, and we will cover that up here. So it's going to be A, and so A8 through D and LR plus 9, which is D14 here. So let's see what that does. That's going to be our chart area. Let's go back and establish that that chart area is that. We may need to set it, I'm not sure. Let's see here. Excuse me. So here's how we're gonna do this. We can get the parent object from the chart. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. Okay, so what we need to do, I'm going to back up a little bit. Oops, don't want to do that. I'm going to set the chart area to be equal to this, and then I'm going to set the chart object to be equal to active chart dot parent. That's what you need to do. And we may have to declare that chart object as a chart object. But let's see if we can get by with not doing that. What you need to do, so each range, selected, highlighted range, whatever, has a left and a top and a height and a width. So we're going to take those attributes from this chart area on our worksheet, which is A8 through D14. We're going to take the height and the top and the left and the width from that and make that the chart's top, left, width, and height, and it will actually move the chart to whatever dynamic area that you say. So we're going to say we're going to take the CHT, the chart object, dot, let's say dot top equals chart area dot top. All right, and we're going to go ahead and go back and let these be set as objects. Whenever you put set, it makes it into an object that Excel can understand. So heck with it. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And now that we've got some more things to work on here, we can go ahead and formulate that here. Active chart, and there's the active data that we need. Now we have our chart here. We're going to see if this works here. The chart object dot top equals the chart area dot top. Let's try that. Oh, we have a error. Alright, let's go back to the top here. We're going to declare CHT OBJ as chart object. Yes, that's okay if it resets. So we're going to we need to set that up and declare that correctly. Let's see what that does for us. Okay, I'm having another really terrible moment there. Brain fart, as I call them. I'm gonna how about we set up this object after the active chart actually exists, huh? Alright, let's move back here. We've got our areas set up. Active sheet, okay, so we made the chart now. And we're going to set that chart object to be equal to the active chart dot parent. And now we have chart object set up. The top is currently 181.8 whatever, but we want it to be equal to the chart area's top. So now that will move. And let's copy and paste this line here. Oops, too many. Alright, now we're going to take the left of each. We're going to take the height and of this and make it equal to the height of the chart, and of course the width of each. Alright, so let's back it up a little bit. We already did the top. Let's get the left of the chart area. Currently we're at 292.5. Now we're at 0, right against the wall. Okay, now check this out. We're going to get the height of from A8 through D whatever. We're going to get the height of that and make that the height of the chart. And we're going to get the width of from here to here, and you'll see that it'll squish it down. And maybe we don't like that so much. Maybe we want to make it the chart equal to A8 through F15 or something like this. So let's make it A8 through F and 15, so it would be LR plus 10, and that would get a little more wiggle room. So let's go ahead and delete that, and we'll redo our macro from scratch. Hit F8. Alright, so we're setting the chart range, chart area now. The chart area is a little bit more comfy, a little roomier now. So as we readjust this thing here, we're going to set it up here. Okay, the top, left, height, and width. It's a little more comfortable. I would say make it maybe LR plus 15. Is that overkill? Let's try that again. I'll just put a stop marker right here. We'll delete this chart. Alt F11. Alright, now that we're here, I'm going to hit F5 and it'll stop right here after doing all that stuff. Hit F5. So now we have a little bit more comfortable of a chart here. And you notice it is A8 through F20 exactly sized with however, where we wanted it sized. If you wanted it off to the side, just adjust your variables there when you're setting your chart area up. But that's a pretty neat trick. And you can keep on with whatever was already on there. We want the chart style to be equal to 44. Make it all pretty. And we want to select the legend and to delete that. In my case, I do anyways. All this other stuff, well, I don't care about that stuff. But now we have something dynamic. So just to show you what we did there, in fact, let's make it interesting. Let's make the chart area C whatever through H whatever. So that'll actually scooch it to about like this, just for kicks. Okay, so I'm gonna select the chart and delete it, and I'm going to make sure that I end that macro. Now from scratch, let's go ahead and let's hit Alt F8 and let's find that one. That was called let's see, CH. Well, this would be easier if we had it assigned to a key, wouldn't it? What do we call this one? Chart. Well, this is ridiculous. Okay, so it's trying to get my macros from my other workbook that I stupidly have open right now. This one is called sample chart. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna hit F5. It's gonna do all those commands at once for whatever size this chart is. So I'm gonna hit F8 or F5, and oops, I put my stop marker there. Let's see, F5. There it is. Bam, it's done. Now let's see what would happen if I have a few more entries. Sharon is from the northeastern region, and she has sold 4,500. And finally, Billy Bob is from south, and he has sold 10,000. So he's going to show up loud and clear on there, on that chart. Okay, so I'm going to hit Alt F8 and see if I can find, starts with an F, or excuse me, an S, and it's called sample, seriously? Sample chart, here it is. I'm going to run this one, and I'm letting off the mouse now, and wow, there's a dynamic chart. It's just like that. Like I said, you can play around with maybe recording it, go into design mode and tweak some things, and just see what it says and the outcome of each recording until you really like how it looks, and then just take those and glean whatever settings that you enjoyed from that. You may have wanted to be able to change that chart to a different type of chart, or you wanted to format the words into a word art or something. You could check any and all features that you see there. You can use. So very powerful. In fact, I kind of like that. I wouldn't mind it being a little bigger if that was a big feature of my report here. So anyway, thank you for watching. God bless.